Okay, we made it to number one. The number one reason why the face-to-face preview appointment strategy works so well. So many of the famous trainers and gurus out there have told us for years that the preview appointment, that the face-to-face appointment without fully qualifying the appointment is a waste of time. That may work in theory, but in practical application, in everyday real estate business like you and I are in, that simply doesn't work. That's what frustrates me so much about all of these famous real estate speakers, trainers, gurus. All these people have a bunch of advice for people like you and I that are on the street selling real estate every day. You know, their word, when they speak to us, it's very difficult, at least for me. I don't know about how you feel. Let me know in the comment section below. But it's very difficult for me to take what they say with any value, because a lot of these speakers, gurus, haven't sold a house in 20, 30, 40 years. Some of them may have never sold a home. And there's 7 reasons why the face-to-face preview appointment is so critical, so important for you to grow your business as a listing agent. And I'm going to walk you through all 7 of them in this video. And the number one tip that I'm going to give you is the thing that took me to 100 listings a year. And it's the same advice that my students are now taking to help them list 2, 3, 4 homes a month. Starting with reason number 7, you see, when an agent really starts to master the face-to-face preview appointment and they're going on 10, 15, 20 or more preview appointments every single month, something very, very unique happens. They start to know the business, the market, the inventory better than any other agent in the marketplace. Think about it. If you were walking through 20 or more active sellers' property, month in, month out, think about all of the other agents that might go on maybe 1 or 2 listing appointments a month, or maybe they're only showing 1, 2, 3 properties a month. Who do you think knows the market better? Who has their finger on the pulse of the real estate market better than an agent who's walking through sellers' homes almost every single day? And so tip number 7, or reason number 7, is when an agent starts to go on a lot of preview appointments, they quickly become market experts because they've seen more properties for sale than any other agent in the marketplace. They know pricing better than any other agent in the marketplace. They know exactly what types of homes are selling for what prices because they're physically walking through more properties that are being sold than any other agent in the marketplace. Okay, reason number 6, avoid prospecting burnout. Here's what I mean. When an agent follows the advice that I followed for a long time in my career, chasing listings, making 50, 100 contacts a day, 5, 6, 7 days a week, looking for that listing, looking for that needle in a haystack where someone tells you, yep, if you come over and I like what you have to say, I'll list my property with you today. What happens to an agent after doing so much prospecting? You start to burn out. Like it or not, agree with it or not, it's just real. This happens to almost every single person I've ever talked to, including myself. And so what happens with the face-to-face appointment strategy, or the preview appointment strategy, an agent can spend more time face-to-face with active buyers, active sellers, rather than sitting in their office making phone call after phone call, cold calling after cold call, burning out. Because what happens over time is this, and I've seen this happen so many times. This has happened to students of mine. This has happened to me. When you follow the advice of traditional real estate sales training that tells you, hey, I want you to sit on the phone all day long until you find somebody that tells you they're going to list with you if you come over to their house. They call that a qualified appointment. When an agent does that, they can only do that for a very, very short amount of time before they say, you know what, the hell with this. I can't do this day in and day out. They start to resent the business. They start to hate prospecting because they're pushing the prospect. They come off like a high pressure, needy, pushy salesperson. And not only does the prospect not like that, but you and I don't like acting like that. We don't like to behave that way. And so quickly an agent starts to burn out. Quickly an agent starts to stop prospecting. Quickly an agent starts to buy leads and start, the whole shiny object thing where they're trying everything under the sun because the advice they took to sit on the phone for 10, 12 hours a day until you find that person who's ready to list their property today versus focusing on getting a face-to-face appointment, they will burn out quickly. Okay, reason number 5. So very similar to that of reason number 6, which is burnout. Reason number 5 is the preview appointment allows agents to get more wins on a more consistent basis. Here's what I mean. So if you've ever called for sale by owners, expired listings, absentee owners, if you've called any lead source to go out there and get listings, you know that getting face-to-face is a lot easier than having these conversations over the telephone. So as you start to employ this face-to-face preview strategy, you're going to find out quickly when you follow my scripts. When you do what it is that I teach, you're going to start setting face-to-face appointments almost every single day of the week. Now imagine a world for just a second that tomorrow, after you're done watching this video, you start sitting in the living room across the table with a motivated home seller about their property, and you got face-to-face 20 times per month. What would that do to your mindset? What would that do to your attitude? Would that change the game for you? Let me know in the comment section below. But I think what we find in my business and the students that I teach is when you focus on getting face-to-face versus trying to get listings over the phone, takes a lot of pressure off of you as you're prospecting. Takes a lot of pressure off the prospect as you're making phone calls, as you're prospecting. When you make the focus of prospecting to set in a face-to-face appointment rather than listing a property, you're going to find yourself face-to-face with a lot more sellers, with a lot more listing opportunities than you are right now. Okay, reason number 4. Most agents I talk to, including myself, believe that we are better with a prospect face-to-face than we are over the phone. Well, if that is true, wouldn't it make sense that we should spend our days and our time, our efforts, our resources on more face-to-face appointments? You see, every agent I talk to, whether that be in my coaching company or at my real estate brokerage firm, agents tell me the same thing all the time, and that is, Brandon, I am good. I'm so much better. I do just fine when I get face-to-face with a buyer or with a seller. My problem is not getting face-to-face enough. And so if you're watching this video and you feel the same way, let me know in the comments if you like face-to-face meetings better than making phone calls. If that's you, well, when you start the preview appointment strategy in your business, you're going to play to your strengths. You're going to double down on your strengths. And it makes a whole lot more sense for you and I. This is what we're built on. Our skill set is built to get face-to-face with people, to connect with homeowners that are looking to sell their property. And so when you shift from phone call strategy to a face-to-face preview strategy, you're going to start playing to your strengths. You're going to start enjoying your days better. You're going to start enjoying your career better because you're spending more time doing what it is that you're good at, doing what you want to be doing, and that is having more conversations face-to-face with buyers and sellers. Reason number 3, it is very, very difficult to call somebody out of the blue, to cold call somebody out of the blue ask them to list their home with you over the phone with no relationship, with no prior meetings, with no communication in the past, and that prospect turn around and say, yeah, I'll list my property with you. It's almost funny to think about that. Yet that is what we've been taught for years. You and I have been taught by these famous real estate gurus, you guys know who they are, that have told us you need to sit on the phone all day and you need to qualify, pre-qualify, never go on an appointment until that thing is qualified. Well, think about this. If you've ever been in a relationship before, whether you're married, you've dated in the past, think about this. Never, not once in your life, or anybody that you've ever known in your life, has called somebody out of the blue, no prior meetings, no prior communication, picked up the phone and proposed on that first phone call. And that would sound something like this. Hey Betty, this is Brandon. My friend Mike asked that I call you. I know this is pretty random, but I was just curious if we got together this afternoon and you like what you had to see, you like what I had to say, if you would consider marrying me on our very first date. She would hang up the phone, call 911 and say, listen, this guy, get this guy away from me. Yet that is what real estate trainers, what these gurus are asking us to do. Call complete strangers, cold call people out of the blue. They don't know us, we don't know them, and ask them if they would hire us on the spot. If they liked, and you know how the script goes, if they like what they saw and they like what we had to say, that they would agree right on the first phone call that they would list their property with us. And what Main Street Coaching has said to us is if they say no to that question, you have to really second guess yourself to go on that appointment or not. It's completely ridiculous when you think about it. Reason number 2, why the preview appointment works so well. So when you start to go out on a more face-to-face appointments, when you start to preview more Fsbos, when you start to preview more expireds, you are going to trip over transactions that you would have never otherwise known about. Here's what I mean. So when you start to meet people face to face, they're going to tell you all kinds of things that they were never going to tell you over the telephone. And so what happens a lot of the time is you'll go to a face-to-face meeting expecting to talk to them about, your backup strategy, different things that you could do in the future, all the things that I've taught you guys how to do. But you'll end up learning at that face-to-face appointment that maybe they're looking to buy another home, that they're looking to do this, that, or the other thing that you would have never, ever known had you not met with that person face to face. And so a lot of agents tell me all the time, including myself, when we go on more face-to-face appointments, we start to uncover more opportunities. We start to fall into buyer side transactions that we never planned on. When we start to go preview all of these Fsbos and we find out, oh, by the way, they have to go buy a house. They have to buy a house as well. And when we ask them, well, are you working with an agent to help you buy a home? And they say, no. And you ask for the interview to help them buy a home, you start to fall into transactions by implementing the face-to-face preview appointment strategy. Okay, we made it to number 1. The number 1 reason why the face-to-face preview appointment strategy works so well, and my students know it, a face-to-face appointment changes everything. Brandon, what do you mean? Think about this. Think about yourself. Think about all of the time you've either spent on the phone with people, either prospecting or in your personal life. There are things that people are not going to tell you over the phone that you are going to learn at a face-to-face meeting. Let me give you some examples. This happens all the time with my business and with my students' businesses. So what happens is you prospect over the phone looking for listings. You want to grow your listing business. You want to become a listing agent, which is great. Congratulations. And you get a lot of what? Come on, say it. Rejection. You get a lot of people that give you a lot of pushback. Am I right? Of course I'm right. And what happens is a lot of agents will do what I call take the bait, meaning they'll take that objection as literal, meaning a for sale by owner will say, you know what, I'm never ever listing my property with an agent, so please don't call me again. An agent will try to overcome that objection. They'll take what the prospect is saying as literal. They're saying, well, they told me they're never going to list their house. They're obviously never going to list their house. Here's the secret. Pay attention. When you get face to face, the person over the phone that you've pictured in your mind is a completely different person when you get face to face. You're the same way. I'm the same way. When you're talking to a complete stranger over the telephone, of course your defenses are up. Of course the prospect's defenses are up, right? You are a salesperson. They don't want to hear from you, right? So when you get that face-to-face meeting, the reason why this preview appointment is so powerful is when you get to that face-to-face meeting, everything's different. They start to tell you things that you're like, wait, what did you just say? They start to treat you differently. They're getting you water. They're making you coffee. Can I do anything for you? And you're thinking, man, is this the same person I was talking to over the phone? Well, of course it is. But a face-to-face meeting changes everything. You'll go there, start building rapport, start building that relationship. And lo and behold, they say, you know what? I wish every other agent was like you. I wish more agents weren't pushy like you. I wish more agents cared like you. And you know what? If we get to the point where we can't get this property sold, if they're a for sale by owner, or hey, maybe we could talk about doing some business in the future, and you're sitting back thinking, wow, Brandon was right. I watched that video and he nailed it. Before in my business, I was sitting there trying to overcome objection after objection on the telephone, taking what people were telling me over the phone as gospel, believing everything they were going to say, taking the bait, trying to overcome objections. Don't do any of that. Focus on getting face to face, because what you're going to find when you get face to face is that your conversations, your interactions, your communications with prospects are completely different, and that you are going to enjoy them so much more. So next, check out this video right here where I walk you through my entire for sale by owner preview appointment strategy.